Gentlemen, wink,
No,
wink.
guys, don't. What is that? Like she's gonna freestyle on marriage, on the father of your children. Are you serious? The sapiosexual platter.
Now more than ever, we are deeply connected in the world because of social media and the internet. However, it seems like the dating game, umjolo, has become a bit more complex than ever. We're finding more beautiful, single, high-value people, and yet they find it very hard to navigate love. How do we attract high value partners? How do we position ourselves for love? My name is Belse Abo Ame.
I am Shatani Somalakai. Oh my gosh, this topic.
She's been cringing at this topic. She's like, it's not sapiosexual platter in there. She was doing everything in her books to avoid it.
Yeah, guys, because I am one of those high value people that finds myself single. So, shoot me already.
Gentlemen, wink,
no,
wink.
guys, don't.
Positioning for love, wink, wink.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you're not single.
I am what you call a mumu for love. So I be like, as you heard me in the Worthy video, I be doing a lot of dumb things for love. So I can give you some tips, but I don't know if it's for everybody because people have different thresholds. And I think I tend to be a bit more patient. Yeah.
What are you trying to say about me?
I never said anything about you. So yeah, so it's quite interesting though that in the era that we're in, finding love is, I wouldn't say hard, but complex.
Yeah, it's become a very complex sport.
It's
complex.
Become
a sport even. You know? It's interesting, the paradox of we're connected but really not. There's more people who should be like partnership, marriage material.
Yeah.
But somehow there's always like something that doesn't work out, Even with those that do fall in love and end up getting married, the divorce rates are quite high.
Everybody's divorcing. It's just always so scary.
I remember in my 20s going through a season where, you wed a lot of your friends and then 3 years later, people aren't together anymore and you're like, whoa. And then it just instilled a bit of a fear in me, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we're too young. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting era that we're living in where now more than ever it's just difficult to find love and to settle.
For me, when I look at the complexities of why it is so complex, it's like, one, I think equalizing of men and women have made it more difficult.
Absolutely.
It used to be more easier when men were earning and the women were at home. And the basis of partnership was to create a cohort of interdependency where you help one another. It's like, help me have babies and nurture them, then I would provide and take care of you. And then now you have a Shatanyi who's like earning so much, independent girl, and then only it sort of like narrows down the men that you could choose as mating partners, because absolutely the ones that earn less have ruled themselves out by virtue of just masculine and feminine dynamics. And then you just like, okay, if you have a woman like Shatanyi, how many crop of men can afford a woman like her? So it even just narrows down what you have accessible to you. And there's so many people in that nature. And then with man, on the other hand, also, it's like, oh, women now earn. So it's like you then have to sort of target women who would be within, who allow for your masculinity to play out in the way that it should be. Yeah. And those women would be women that possibly earn lesser than you. Or if you're a strong charactered man and you're like, you know what, I provide with skill, then you can go for a Shatani Somalekai. But not many people have that confidence or have transcended the paradigms of what governs masculinity and femininity.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I also think another factor that's contributing to the failure to connect in that way is the fact that the family structure has disintegrated.
Yeah.
And so you look at families across because of the divorce rate that we're just talking about, and it doesn't feel inspiring. You're just like, get married for what? You know, to do what? You look at the couples that are together and you're like, are you guys really happy? Like, are you good? Are you fulfilled? Why should I give up my single status to inherit the perceived issues or problems, or, you know, live the kind of life that I see that, you know, may not necessarily exemplify maybe the fantasy that I think in my mind. By the way, this is not a show about me, but, you know, but yeah, I guess I represent a lot of single women out there in that sense. Yeah.
The other aspect is social media.
Absolutely.
Social media has created this thing of making people dispensable. And then it also sort of breaks down relationship because it creates facades in people's minds, and they don't realize it's a facade because it has this arousal element to it. So it's either you see certain people displaying their relationships, you go back and you're like, oh, my relationship is not like so and so, we're not creating content, we're not doing that in our household. Then you start to find faults in your own relationship, and then you break down because you're being infiltrated by another idea of a relationship. It could be that you are happy with the girl that you're with and you find her cute, and the next thing you join Instagram. On Instagram, everybody is naked, showing their butt, showing their titties, and then you're just like, ooh, confusion. Let me inbox this one, and it gives you this false sense of accessibility, and it's just dumbed down our brains, unfortunately. Our brains, when it comes to just being very set in ourselves and what we want to create for our lives, and not being comparing it to anything else. So it's really infiltrated that arena, and that is why we're here today to say, let's give you 5 tips of positioning yourself for love. Because even though I'm a mumu for love and she's also a single girl, we do attract
high value people.
Don't
get it twisted.
Exactly. We do attract high value people, and you know, it wasn't always that way in our lives, but we did a few things that put us in that stance. And I also said in the last episode about self-worth that I used to be a certain type of girl, and then I transcended myself into a different person who's worthy of a certain experience. And maybe that's why I am experiencing the love now, which I'm grateful for. Hey, husband.
Shout out, Mr. Ame.
Shout out. So tip number 1.
Number 1, just drawing from last week's episode, self-worth. I don't think we can emphasize it enough. Self-worth is an integral part to accessing anything and everything in your life, including relationships. Like if you want to attract a high value person in your life, it definitely starts with self-worth. And I think a good example of that is not just in the love relationships that you want to attract. It starts off with the kinds of friends that you attract, kind of business associates that you attract. So for me, for example, I know that my self-worth is intact because I have, you know, a Belle in my life. And I feel like if you know our story, you know, we were friends in high school, kind of, you know,
we're in our
separate ways. And then, you know, she did her varsity, I did my varsity, and only reconnected, you know, years into our career. And both of us were going through like very painful friendship experiences. Like, what's going on here? And then finally we looked at each other and like, oh my gosh, you're the one. Oh my word. And from then on, you know, like the rest is history in terms of how in sync we are and what we've been able to accomplish together. And I think this is an example of a high value interaction when I finally deemed myself worthy and said, look, I am not worthy of this kinds of friendships where people take, they never give back, or nobody wants to reciprocate. And then you meet somebody where you're like, oh, this is what I bring to the table, this is what they bring to the table. And it's like, you're not asking for much, actually. So self-worth. And then I found that when it started with the friendships, then I personally started attracting high value persons.
I would love to add to that point that when you deem yourself worthy, you have to make space for it. And making space for it means not entertaining people that are not looking as what you want. If you've said, this is what I want love, I want marriage, I want this, then when Tabo comes, say, no, I'm not going on a date with you, Tabo. Because you're not what I want. Don't get bored and be like, I need attention, and then go with the Tabo. Just trust that the universe will meet you with what you want. And then moving on to the second point, which is define what it is that you think love is, what you think you want in a partner. And then after you define what you want of love, what you want in a partner, and it has to be a true self-assessment. It shouldn't be, oh, Beyonce has Jay-Z, I'm after Jay-Z and Beyonce type of thing. It has to be, I look at myself as a person and what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I want to achieve in life? And what kind of partner do I need in order for me to navigate my purpose? Because this is a business. You have to approach it like you approach a business. Yeah. So you're choosing a business partner in the business of life.
Yeah.
And then after you do that, you're like, okay, I need somebody who can be supportive to my emotional self, lend me a skill, lend me money, whatever it is. After you define it, then ask yourself, are you the person that matches the partner for that person you seek to be? So if you say, I want a multi-millionaire, ask yourself, what kind of person would they date? Or what would be the partner that would be with a multi-millionaire?
Yeah.
And if you're not any of those things, there's more than room to become all of them. And it brings us to point number 3,
which is education. Guys, I'm big on education. I think for me, like, I love reading, I love educating myself, I love informing myself. And I think that's actually where the compromise in Africa has taken place, because the institutions that used to educate us on how to get ready for marriage, how to be the right person for marriage, have dismantled. And therefore there's this, huge hole that's been left for us to fill by ourselves. And so therefore you have to educate yourself. I remember a book that I read once that talked about the fact that it's so crazy that we know that we have to study in order, to become a lawyer, doctor, or whatever. But when it comes to the dating and marriage, the one thing that's going to affect all areas of our lives, we just think that we can walk into it like
without information.
It's
like, let me freestyle it.
What is that? Like, you're just gonna freestyle on marriage, on the father of your children. Are you serious? So educate yourself quite seriously. Spiritual, financial. I mean, as a lawyer, I'll say it. A lot of the divorces are created because people don't even have financial literacy. Honey, how can you date somebody with money when you don't know anything about money? They're going to run circles over you. So you just have to immerse yourself in a lot of education.
Yeah. And I think education now paves way for a lot of things. Education can also help you, which is now point number 4, build your attraction. Build your self-esteem. And how do you do that? You work on yourself.
Do the self-work.
You develop yourself. And I'll give an example of myself. The person that you see here right now was not always this person. Technically, I'm a nerd. I'm a big nerd. I grew up a big nerd. I realized that you have me, the nerd, and then you have those really pretty girls who just wake up and they look like they breathe different air. And at a point, I was just very intentional. I was like, I'm very good at sports. I'm very good at academics. And if I've been able to educate myself on science, surely I can educate myself about bringing myself from a 5 to a 10. And it's very easy. So don't even be like, oh, I'm not pretty enough. I'm looking at you girls. You're so beautiful. Anybody can be beautiful. In this day and world, it's even more easier. We've got wigs, we've got makeup, we've got all those things that men put on.
Aesthetic clinics.
What do men do? Those hairline things that you send me.
Implants. Like hair implants. There's hair wigs for men as well, by the way.
Anybody can look good. So educate yourself. If you look at your strength is, I'm a bookworm. Go read books about beauty. Go read books about self-care. Go read books about just taking care of yourself, because when you take care of yourself, especially when you're a woman, you increase your value and you position yourself to attract people of value and attract love, because men are visual beings. Men respond to beauty. And I don't know, with men, what can we advise to them to position themselves? Make money, that's what she'll say, but let's hear it.
I think take care of yourself. I think it's the reverse way. The exact woman that you want, you have to ask yourself, what kind of a man would she like to date, and become that man. Definitely take care of yourself, exercise. A lot of the issues that men have in intimacy and all of that is because you don't eat the right food, is because you spend all your weekends drinking, you get big tummies. What's up with that? Take care of yourself.
I agree with you that men have to take care of themselves, but when you look at feminine and masculine interplay, women, you can have the prettiest woman with the most not visually aesthetically pleasing man. And it's like, for us women, something else is our attraction point. Men, it's beauty. So that's why with a woman, it's easy. Book makeup, do your makeup, do your hair, put on a nice outfit. Men react immediately to beauty. Whereas with us women, it's not necessarily beauty or aesthetics. Yeah,
correct. I think in terms of the initial attraction point, for sure, women should focus on their beauty. That is what's going to cause a man sitting across the room and look and say, oh my God, look at her, right? And for women, sure, their attraction point isn't necessarily, wow, he's so handsome. Maybe they may have other points of interest. Masculinity, for example, the ability to, as Steve Harvey would say, provide, protect, protest. But then we're also talking about like sustainability in the relationship as well. So
for sure, but I get it. The initial point, isn't it? The initial point is attraction, and I think when I listen to what you're saying and summing up the provision and everything, it's basically women look for security.
Well, build your masculinity.
Build your masculinity.
And that which women look for. It is a muscle, by the way. I've come to understand that it's also apparently not necessarily innate. So you also want to educate yourself with regards to, what does positive masculinity look like? What does it look like in the context of the modern age and things like that? So most definitely work on yourself, build yourself, heal yourself. Because we also have traumas that we carry from our childhood that we carry on into relationships, that sometimes you can start a relationship, but can you sustain it? So I think it's important to do the self-work, to do the inner healing work of traumas from and hurts that you've carried throughout your life.
And in relation to that point, what I thought about is that what's so interesting is you attract what you are. So if you've got all the trauma, and let's say you grew up in an abusive household, chances are you're going to attract an abusive partner.
That's if you don't heal.
You don't heal yourself and do the work. So it sums up the point very well to say, build yourself to become that which you want to attract. And if you want to attract love, it starts with loving yourself, caring for yourself, and deeply deeming yourself worthy, as we said. And now to the fifth point.
The fifth point, guys, at the end of the day, we are people and love is for everyone. So for me, it's important not to be fixated on believing that you're going to find love in this one human being. You have love exactly where you are, even if you're sitting and watching this by yourself. There's love in the eyes of your child, of your mother and your father, the community around you. So I would say pour yourself out to the people around you and love them, and know that you are complete in the absence of, in the presence of, the partner that you desire.
Well said. And once you do that, your love will find you, because trust and believe, don't have anxiety. There's somebody for everybody in this world. Your spec exists. There's somebody who likes a skinny guy, fat guy,
100%.
chubby guy. Everybody. There's a spec for everybody. So don't even dare settle for anything but your spec.
And this is particularly for women, because apparently men never settle. But women think they should. And no, honey. Like she said, there's somebody out there who likes you exactly the way that you are. I have
Mhm.
no doubt about it. So,
Mhm.
guys, that's how you position yourself for love.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. You got it. I got it. We've got love for you. We feel it. And we're so excited to hear about your journey to finding love within yourself and how that manifested love for you externally. So,
And yeah, just to add on to what she's saying, we were thinking about doing a sapiosexual platter event on Valentine's Day so that we could put like-mindeds together, the sapiosexual. So if that's something that you are interested in, if you'd want to see a sapiosexual platter love event, please leave a comment, egg us on so that we do that. If we don't see any comments, we're not going to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that rounds up the year 2024. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And we can't wait to see you on the other side of the year 2025. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
My name is Belsabo Ame.
Shatani Somalakai.
And this is
The
the
Sapiosexual
Sapiosexual
Platter.
Platter.